13 motorcycles are heading straight toward legal trouble, and most riders won't realize it until their registration gets rejected. Across the country, emissions rules, noise limits, and inspection checks are tightening quietly. And when that happens, certain bikes get flagged first, even if they're a factory stock and well cared for. In this video, we're breaking down 13 motorcycles that could soon become illegal to ride. Not because they're bad bikes, but because the rules around them have changed. Stick with us till the end, because the last bike on this list is owned by more riders than any other. And once it gets questioned, everything else is next. Number 13. Buell Lightning XB12S. Long before regulators cared about ride modes or touchscreens, this machine represented a stubborn kind of American independence. It was built for riders who valued steering feel, torque delivery, and mechanical honesty more than fashion or polish. The layout confused. People who only understood chrome and tradition, but experienced riders, knew exactly what it was trying to do. What puts this bike on the edge today is not reliability. Owners still rack up miles with basic maintenance and common sense. The problem is paperwork age. The company no longer exists to answer questions, issue compliance letters, or smooth over inspection disputes. Modern departments rely on databases, not conversations, and anything unusual slows the process down. As emissions standards tighten and inspections become more procedural, bikes that fall outside familiar templates get extra attention. An unconventional frame, unique braking design, or uncommon engine layout turns a routine renewal into a discussion. Discussions rarely end in the rider's favor when the clerk is following a checklist instead of instinct. This machine still feels alive on the road. The chassis talks back. The engine pulls clean and honest. But the system around it has changed, and that matters more every year. Riders who understand machines often underestimate paperwork, and that gap is where problems begin. It produces approximately 100 horsepower from a 1,203 cubic centimeter engine, delivers around 84 pound-feet of torque, uses a perimeter-mounted single front disc braking system with a rear disc, runs fully adjustable Showa suspension front and rear, weighs approximately 445 pounds wet, has a seat height of roughly 30.8 inches, and originally started at approximately $10,900. Factory extinction is only the beginning, because the next machine lost its protection overnight. Number 12. Victory Hammer 8-Ball. Some motorcycles are remembered for how they rode. Others are remembered for what they represented at the time. This one came from an era when American brands were willing to swing hard, ignore convention, and chase torque without apology. It was built long, low, and aggressive, aimed at riders who wanted muscle bike attitude with cruiser comfort. What pushes the Hammer toward risk today has nothing to do with durability. These engines are known to run strong for years when maintained properly. The real problem started when the factory doors closed. Once production stopped, the slow fade began in regulatory offices, inspection manuals, and parts databases that no longer get updated. Modern registration systems are designed around active manufacturers. When questions come up about emissions labeling, component compliance, or factory specifications, clerks expect a current reference point. With this bike, that reference no longer exists. That turns routine renewals into judgment calls, and judgment calls rarely favor discontinued machines. Riders who own one understand its appeal. It pulls hard off idle, sits low, and feels planted on long straight roads. But those same traits make it visible. Long wheelbase, wide rear tire, and a deep exhaust note draw attention in places where enforcement has grown less tolerant. It produces approximately 88 horsepower from a 1,731 cubic centimeter engine, delivers around 113 pound-feet of torque, uses dual front disc brakes with a rear disc, runs conventional front forks with a rear monoshock, weighs approximately 704 pounds wet, has a seat height of about 25 inches, and originally started at approximately $17,900. When a badge disappears, scrutiny rises, but active brands are not immune either. If this breakdown already challenged assumptions you have held for years, take a second to support the work. Hit like, subscribe for future investigations, and share your experience in the comments, because Rider Insight keeps these conversations honest and grounded. Number 11. Indian Scout Bobber. Not every motorcycle on the road today was built with future rulebooks in mind. Some were designed to look raw, low, and honest, echoing machines from decades when form mattered more than checklists. That design philosophy is exactly what places this one under growing scrutiny. The Scout Bobber was shaped to feel stripped and deliberate. Short fenders, low lighting, and a compact stance give it a clean silhouette that appeals to riders who remember simpler bikes. It feels approachable, quick off the line, and easy to live with around town or on back roads. Where trouble begins is not on the pavement, but at inspection counters. Regulatory standards are drifting toward uniformity, especially around lighting height, exhaust output, and safety equipment visibility. Bikes that were styled to look minimal now stand out when rules stop flexing. Owners often assume factory stock equals automatic approval. That assumption is getting weaker. As state agencies modernize processes, inspectors rely less on experience and more on measurement. When something looks different, it gets measured. When it gets measured, margins disappear. The Scout Bobber still rides the way riders expect. It pulls clean, handles predictably, and carries just enough attitude to feel personal. But personality no longer buys patience. Paperwork and sensors now decide what belongs on public roads. It produces approximately 94 horsepower from an 1133 cubic centimeter engine, delivers around 72 pound-feet of torque, uses a single front disc braking system with a rear disc, runs telescopic front forks with dual rear shocks, weighs approximately 540 pounds wet, has a seat height of about 25.6 inches, and starts at approximately $13,400. Minimal styling draws eyes, yet raw power draws something far more dangerous. For riders trying to stay ahead of upcoming rule changes, the gear I use is in the description. Time matters more than brand loyalty right now. Number 10. Yamaha V-Max. Power has always carried consequences on American roads, and few machines ever embraced excess the way this one did. When it arrived, it ignored trends and chased dominance, built for riders who believed restraint was overrated. That attitude still defines its reputation decades later. The V-Max was never subtle. Its acceleration, sound, and presence announced themselves long before regulations cared about sensitivity or public perception. Riders who grew up in an era of open highways remember when that kind of muscle earned respect, instead of attention from authorities. Today, the problem is not reliability or engineering. These engines are famously durable when serviced correctly. The issue is visibility. Enforcement culture has shifted toward high-output machines associated with speed, noise complaints, and aggressive riding profiles. Bikes that stand out get noticed first. Urban areas feel this pressure earliest. Noise ordinances tighten. Emissions testing expands. Patrol officers are trained to identify specific silhouettes tied to past incidents. Once a motorcycle becomes a symbol, it never fully escapes that label, no matter who rides it or how responsibly. The V-Max still delivers a riding experience that feels unapologetic. It pulls hard, stays planted, and rewards experienced hands. But pride does not override policy, and heritage does not soften enforcement trends moving forward. It produces approximately 197 horsepower from a 1,679 cubic centimeter engine, delivers around 127 pound-feet of torque, uses dual front disc brakes with a rear disc, runs inverted front forks with a rear mono shock, weighs approximately 697 pounds wet, has a seat height of roughly 30 inches, and starts at approximately $17,999. Excess speed created legends, but unconventional design creates even more question. Number 9, Ducati Diavel. Some motorcycles feel like they were designed to challenge expectations rather than follow them. This one entered the scene looking nothing like a traditional cruiser, and nothing like a pure sport machine either. That refusal to fit neatly into a category is exactly what gave it instant appeal among riders who value strength and presence. The Diavel delivers a commanding ride that feels deliberate and controlled. Wide tires, muscular stance, and a forward push of torque give it authority without demanding reckless behavior. It appeals to riders who want power, available without constantly chasing high revolutions. On open roads, it feels planted and confident. Where problems begin is not performance but interpretation. Regulatory systems prefer clear definitions. Touring bikes fall into one box, sport bikes fall into another. This one blurs the line, and anything that blurs lines invites extra attention. When inspectors cannot easily classify a motorcycle, they start measuring instead of approving. As emissions rules and noise standards tighten, motorcycles that look aggressive tend to get evaluated more closely. Styling becomes evidence. Sound becomes data. Once scrutiny increases, tolerance drops. That shift turns ownership into a continuous review rather than a simple renewal. The Diavel remains a rewarding machine for experienced riders. It carries weight low, responds predictably, and offers a sense of control that builds confidence. But confidence does not influence regulation. Design choices made for presence now work against it in compliance-driven environments. It produces approximately 162 horsepower from an 1198 to 1262 cubic centimeter engine, depending on generation, delivers around 95 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo dual front disc brakes with a rear disc, runs adjustable suspension front and rear depending on trim, weighs approximately 557 pounds wet, has a seat, height of about 30.1 inches, and starts at approximately $20,295. Blurring categories confuses regulators, and factory rebellion confuses them even more. Number 8. Harley-Davidson FXDR 114. Before baggers dominated every showroom wall, this machine was built to challenge what a factory Harley could look like. It leaned forward, stripped weight, and favored aggression over tradition. That decision earned attention from riders who wanted something different without abandoning American torque. The FXDR rides like a statement. Long and low, it rewards confident throttle control and steady hands. The chassis feels tight, the seating position pushes weight forward, and the power delivery comes on strong without hesitation. It was never designed for cross-country comfort or easy compromises. Trouble starts when design steps outside familiar boundaries. Regulatory systems are built around expectations. When a motorcycle does not resemble what inspectors see every day, questions multiply. Intake placement, exhaust routing, and suspension geometry all become points of interest instead of accepted norms. As inspection processes become more standardized, flexibility disappears. What once passed because it was factory built now gets measured because it looks unconventional. Riders feel that shift during renewals, transfers, and resale evaluations, where unfamiliar designs create delays. The FXDR still delivers a raw experience that many riders appreciate. It feels mechanical, direct, and purposeful. But purpose does not influence regulation. Systems reward predictability, not personality. And that gap continues to widen. It produces approximately 90 horsepower from a 1,868 cubic centimeter engine, delivers around 127 pound-feet of torque, uses dual front disc brakes with a rear disc, runs inverted front forks with a rear monoshock, weighs approximately 700 pounds wet, has a seat height of about 26.7 inches, and starts at approximately $18,999. Pushing engineering limits tightens margins faster than most riders realize. Number 7. Kawasaki ZH2. Some motorcycles exist to prove a point rather than fill a gap. This one was engineered to show what happens when engineering ambition outruns restraint. It was never meant to blend in, and that decision still defines how it is treated today. The ZH2. Deliver violence with control. Throttle response is immediate. Power builds relentlessly, and the chassis feels planted even when speed climbs quickly. Experienced riders appreciate that balance, but enforcement agencies notice the same traits for different reasons. Forced induction changes the conversation. Superchargers introduce heat, pressure, and complexity that regulators do not fully trust on public roads. As emissions standards evolve, anything pressurized draws additional review. That scrutiny does not disappear just because a bike is factory approved. Noise complaints follow machines like this, even when ridden responsibly. Profiles get built, training materials get updated. When officers look for high output examples, this silhouette stays memorable. That makes routine stops less routine. The ZH2 remains a technical achievement that commands respect among seasoned riders. It rewards discipline and punishes mistakes. But modern compliance favors predictability, not edge cases. Extreme machines always sit closest to the line. That reality matters more each year as inspections become automated and personal judgment disappears from the process entirely nationwide today. It produces approximately 197 horsepower from a 998 cubic centimeter supercharged engine, delivers around 101 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo dual front disc brakes with a rear disc, runs fully adjustable, suspension front and rear, weighs approximately 560 pounds wet, has a seat height of roughly 31 inches, and starts at approximately $19,700. When technology raises eyebrows, custom-looking muscle raises alarms. Number 6. Harley-Davidson Breakout 114. Long, low, and unapologetic. This machine was built to turn heads before it ever turned wheels. It carries the look of a custom without the guesswork of a garage build, aimed at riders who want visual authority and straight-line confidence. That appeal has always been part of its identity. The Breakout feels deliberate on the road. The stretched stance settles into a steady rhythm at speed, and the torque comes on early and strong. It rewards calm inputs and open pavement, favoring presence over agility. Riders who appreciate muscle over maneuverability understand exactly what it offers. Where concern starts is not performance, but perception, as inspection systems become more standardized. Anything that resembles a custom gets treated like one. Long wheelbases, minimal front braking hardware, and aggressive exhaust profiles trigger closer review even when factory installed. Modern enforcement relies less on brand recognition and more on visual cues. If it looks modified, it gets measured. If it gets measured, tolerance tightens. That shift erases the gray area that once protected factory customs during renewals and transfers. It produces approximately 88 horsepower from a 1,868 cubic centimeter engine, delivers around 119 pound-feet of torque, uses a single front disc braking system with a rear disc, runs telescopic front forks with a rear monoshock, weighs approximately 700 pounds wet, has a seat height of about 25.6 inches, and starts at approximately $21,499. Visual dominance fades quickly once reputation enters the equation. If this list is hitting closer to home than expected, make sure you are subscribed. These issues are moving fast, and staying ahead matters. Future breakdowns will cover updates, enforcement shifts, and rider consequences you will want here before happening. Number 5. Suzuki Hayabusa. Long before social media clips and radar detectors became part of the riding conversation, this motorcycle earned its reputation the hard way. It arrived during a period when manufacturers chased outright speed, and it refused to apologize for that focus. Riders respected it because it delivered dominance without pretending to be anything else. The Hayabusa was never about subtlety. Its silhouette alone told a story of straight-line authority and relentless acceleration. For experienced riders, it represented confidence built on stability, not chaos. It tracked true at speed, settled into long highway runs, and demanded respect instead of tricks. What places it under pressure today is not how it performs, but what it symbolizes. Over time, this machine became shorthand for excess in the eyes of enforcement agencies. Speed association lingers longer than mechanical facts. Once a bike earns that label, it never fully shakes it. As laws tighten around noise, emissions, and speed enforcement, motorcycles with historic reputations attract closer review. Profiling does not care about rider age or restraint. The shape, the name, and the legacy do the talking before the conversation begins. It produces approximately 180 horsepower from a 1,340 cubic centimeter engine, delivers around 104 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo dual front disc brakes with a rear disc, runs adjustable front suspension with a rear monoshock, weighs approximately 564 pounds wet, has a seat height of about 31 inches, and starts at approximately $19,200. Icon status multiplies attention, especially when numbers climb into the thousands. Number 4. Harley-Davidson Road Glide. Few motorcycles have defined modern American touring the way this one has. Its fixed-fairing silhouette is instantly recognizable from a distance, signaling long miles, steady speed, and confidence earned through repetition. Riders choose it for comfort, wind protection, and the feeling of settling into a machine built to cross states without complaint. The Road Glide excels at what it was designed to do. It tracks straight at highway speed, carries weight low, and isolates the rider from fatigue better than most alternatives. For riders who value endurance over flash, it represents a dependable companion rather than a statement piece. That popularity, however, brings its own problems. When lawmakers look at motorcycle noise, emissions, and traffic impact, they start with the most common examples on the road. Volume creates visibility. Visibility attracts measurement. Measurement. Measurement leads to regulation. Touring bikes are increasingly treated as benchmarks. Sound output becomes a reference point. Emissions equipment gets scrutinized. Even factory exhaust systems receive closer attention when thousands of identical machines roll through the same corridors every day. What once passed unnoticed now becomes data. It produces approximately 88 to 90 horsepower from a 1868 cubic centimeter engine, delivers around 122 pound-feet of torque, uses dual front disc brakes with a rear disc, runs touring suspension front and rear, weighs approximately 930 pounds wet, has a seat height of about 26.6 inches, and starts at approximately $21,999. Sheer volume invites regulation, yet stripped simplicity offers no escape. Number 3. Harley-Davidson Street Bob 114. Stripped-down motorcycles once slipped quietly through the system, judged more by intent than checklist. This one was built to feel raw and familiar, a modern echo of simpler machines that valued torque, sound, and presence over polish. The Street Bob rides with a straightforward attitude. Upright bars, minimal bodywork, and an exposed stance give the rider direct feedback from the road. It feels lighter than it is and responds best to smooth inputs rather than aggressive corrections. For experienced riders, that simplicity is the appeal. The problem emerges when simplicity collides with standardized inspections. Minimal lighting, reduced visual coverage, and common exhaust changes place this bike under closer review during renewals. What once passed as character now gets interpreted as deficiency when inspectors follow digital guidelines instead of experience. Regulatory systems increasingly assume motorcycles should look and behave a certain way. When something deviates, it triggers measurement. Measurement removes discretion. Discretion once protected bikes like this, allowing factory minimalism to exist without penalty. That protection is fading. It produces approximately 90 horsepower from a 1868 cubic centimeter engine, delivers around 127 pound-feet of torque, uses a single front disc braking system with a rear disc, runs conventional front forks with dual rear shocks, weighs approximately 670 pounds wet, has a seat height of about 26.6 inches, and starts at approximately $16,999. Mechanical honesty once bought freedom, but software now controls the conversation. Number 2. Indian Challenger. Big displacement touring used to mean simple choices. Wind protection, steady torque, and enough comfort to eat miles without thinking about software or sensors. This machine changed that equation by bringing modern performance into a segment that once valued predictability above everything else. The Challenger feels powerful and composed. It accelerates harder than older tourers, holds speed effortlessly, and stays planted through long sweepers. Riders who want authority on the highway appreciate how it delivers strength without drama. On the road, it feels capable and refined. Where pressure builds is behind the scenes. Modern touring machines now carry layers of electronics, sensors, and monitoring systems tied directly to compliance. Every system designed to enhance performance also creates a trail of data. Data invites oversight. Oversight reduces flexibility. As emission standards evolve and noise enforcement grows stricter, complex machines face more checkpoints. Software updates, calibration checks, and diagnostic scrutiny become part of ownership. What once required a wrench now requires authorization. That shift changes the relationship between rider and machine. It produces approximately 126 horsepower from a 1768 cubic centimeter engine, delivers around 128 pound-feet of torque, uses Brembo dual front disc brakes with a rear disc, runs electronically adjustable suspension front and rear on select trims, weighs approximately 840 pounds wet, has a seat height of about 26 inches, and starts at approximately $23,000. Modern complexity creates friction, yet nothing attracts pressure like mass adoption. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Iron 883. It always starts as the safe choice, something simple, approachable, and familiar enough to feel harmless. This machine earned its place in countless garages because it looked honest, sounded right, and carried the badge without intimidation. For many riders, it was the first step back into riding or the last bike they ever planned to buy. The Iron 883 feels straightforward on the road. Low seat, narrow profile, and predictable power make it easy to manage in traffic and comfortable at slower speeds. It was never about speed or technology. It was about feel, rhythm, and identity. That simplicity is exactly why it sits at the top of the this list. Entry-level motorcycles are increasingly becoming compliance test cases. Regulators focus on the most common machines first, because changes there affect the largest number of riders. When standards tighten, the simplest bikes face the least tolerance. Emissions requirements, noise limits, and safety expectations keep advancing. Smaller displacement, air-cooled engines struggle to meet modern thresholds without redesign. When redesign costs outweigh profits, manufacturers move on. Riders are left holding machines that still run fine, but no longer fit future rule books. It produces approximately 45 horsepower from an 883 cubic centimeter engine, delivers around 54 pound-feet of torque, uses a single front disc braking system with a rear disc, runs conventional front forks with dual rear shocks, weighs approximately 580 pounds wet, has a seat height of about 25.7 inches, and starts at approximately $10,499. This is where legality, legacy, and reality finally collide. If one of these bikes surprised you, you're not alone, and this stuff is changing fast. The only way riders stay ahead is by sharing real experiences. If you've run into inspection issues, registration delays, or heard warnings from a dealer, drop it in the comments. That helps everyone. If this video helped you, hit like, subscribe, and stay with us, because what's legal today might not be tomorrow.